Hi, how are you all? Welcome back to a new vlog. This one's very exciting because I am going to do a book haul. It's a very big book haul. And I do want to preface with saying this is a bonkers number of books to haul, but this is a culmination of my birthday was in December, Christmas, and all I asked for was books, and then the rest for like my purchases. And I wanted to have some type of accountability to not buy any more books, especially books that are the start of other series, because especially in my fantasy stack I have a ton of books that are book 1 of a series, or I'm on book 2 of a series, and I don't need to start any more series. I think with fantasy I get a ton of FOMO. I'm in my fantasy era. I can confidently say that I'm in my fantasy era, and I'm so excited. I'm just excited to be here. I sound like a celebrity on like a talk show. I'm just excited to be here. The one that I've started that I'm on book 2 of is The Realm of the Elderlings, or the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb. I am about to start Royal Assassin, which I can't wait because that was more of my intro into adult fantasy. I couldn't be more excited. So anytime there's like a creator I really like talking about their favorite fantasy, I'm like, ooh, I really want to check that out, but I need to be stopped. I need to be stopped. At the moment, there's only 2 books that I'm really interested in their releases this year, unless I get an arc. Hi, NetGalley. There's Lee Bardugo's new book in April, and then Ava Reed's new book in August, which I will definitely be buying. But other than that, I don't really feel the need to buy anything new. I can utilize Libby in my local library if there's something I'm like really itching to read, or grab the audiobook. I think I just need to pause a little bit on buying books. I've been kind of a heathen. Anyway, let's jump into the haul. I hope you have some coffee. I know I do. I have 4 book categories we're going to talk about today. Fantasy, which is the largest haul, horror, romance, and lit fic. So I'm going to go through all of those. I'm going to bucket them in the chapters below. If you are more interested in one category or another, you just fast forward. But we are going to start with fantasy. All right, let's get started. Let's talk books. Oops, I already dropped one. God, these are all the fantasy books. Oh my god. I don't really have an order for this. I'm just going to go through them. So for Christmas, I got the entire Poppy War trilogy by R.F. Kuang. I'm only showing the first book because I don't want to like look at the other 2 and maybe spoil something for myself, so I'm only bringing the first one up. I have not read any R.F. Kuang, even though I have Babel. So I really need to get to her. I've just heard from so many people that this would be a series or a writer I absolutely will adore, and I can't wait. I just can't wait. I've also heard this is more grimdark fantasy, which I'm guessing will be my jam completely, because I do tend to lean more on the darker side of absolutely everything. I'm pretty sure this is her debut, so I might start here before I start with her other standalone books. I'm very, very excited for this one. I'm just going to blanket statement. I'm going to say that I'm very excited for all these books, or else I wouldn't have asked for them or picked them up. So I'm excited for every single book I'm going to talk about. Alright, next book in a series, which is book 1, is The 5th Season by N.K. Jemisin. This just sounded so interesting. Like the world sounded so interesting. It's about a world that's literally breaking down and dying, and the main character, I think, can mend world or mend elements to help with it, to help it from dying. And then the book starts off with, I think, her husband killing their son and running away with their daughter, and her trying to find the daughter. I know this is probably like going to break me, and I've just heard amazing things about N.K. Jemisin's writing and world building to begin with anyway, and I think this is the only book, or only series that's won the Hugo World. I can't even say that. I cannot say HU words very well. I don't know why. I think this is the only author who has won the Hugo Award 3 times in a row with the same series, so book 1, book 2, book 3. And I just think that's so sick. And I just love these. The covers on these are so pretty. I know it's supposed to be really intricate and complex, and I think I just need to be in the right headspace to pick this up, because I'm in the middle of a very complex, at least I think it's complex. I'm in the middle of reading, I'm exactly in the middle of Priory of the Orange Tree, which I'm loving. It just is, there's so much going on that I think I might need a little more of a lighter lift in my next fantasy read. Next, I have 2 Ava Reed books, because I read Juniper and Thorn in January, and it like It was awesome. I loved it. So I had to pick up her other work. Wolf and the Woodsman. This is in the same universe as Juniper and Thorn. I think this is her debut. I think this has to do with more witches, and I think it's supposed to be outside of the city of Oblia, or in the same, it's in the same universe as Oblia, which is the city in Juniper and Thorn. Like, Ava Reed's writing is so dark and visceral and bloody, at least Juniper and Thorn was, so I cannot wait to be back in this world, because Juniper and Thorn, like, blew my socks off, so yes! And then, of course, I had to pick up her other book, A Study in Drowning, which is her young adult novel, but I've also heard, because it's Ava Reed, that it's still, like, pretty rough for a young adult novel. And I just love the cover. It's so gorgeous. I know this has to do with it's more dark academia. It has to do with this college and the main character studying architecture, and there's this contest with this author that she really loves because she really wants to be a writer, but she's not allowed to be an author because it's not a profession for women, or in this world it's not a profession that women are allowed to pursue. So she pursues architecture, and there's a contest to build the house, something with the house of her favorite author, and again, it's supposed to be more dark, more like another fairy tale-esque type of story. Yeah, I'm excited, and her new book comes out this year too, so it's like okay, this book I heard about from Toni Morrow. Any creator, I will link down below their account, but I heard about this book primarily from her, and she sang its praises, and the premise just sounded so freaking cool for a fantasy novel. It's The Helm of Midnight by Mariana Lostetter, and it's supposed to be about this heist where this mask is stolen that belonged to a serial killer, a death mask. It has to do with these thieves who steal a death mask that was made by master craftsmen. It is imbued with the spirit of a monster from history, a serial murderer who terrorized the city. He's loose now because someone else is wearing his mask, and a group of, they're called regulators, must try and stop him. That sounds so cool, and again, this cover is just so cool. It's supposed to have like really cool world building and a magic system, and again, like, I think I was just mainly drawn in by the cover and like the premise. This mask that's possessed by a serial killer just sounds like, oh, that's so sick. Next is a book I definitely picked up because of the cover, and then I read a few pages in Barnes & Noble, and I was like, I'm gonna buy this. This sounds really cool. It is Silver Under Nightfall by Rin Chupeco. All I know is it's like has to do with vampires and vampire hunters in this fantasy world, and it's a really long synopsis. It's about Remy. His dad is a bounty hunter for rogue vampires throughout the city, and his mother has run away with a vampire. It was rumored that she ran away with a vampire and that he might be half vampire, and so he's kind of treated as an outcast in this world. And there's a new breed of vampire that is sighted outside the city, and Rin takes it upon himself to investigate and to try and basically get inside his dad's good graces and not be treated like such an outcast. Split loyalties, stuff like that. Yeah, again, cover is just so cool. I actually might read this one soon because I've been craving some vampire fantasy. Get to more of that in a second. Speaking of vampire fantasy, I also have Empire of the Vampire. Oh man, I messed up the title. Empire of the Vampire by Jay Kristoff. I heard that this was, if you like the game Bloodborne, which I do, in all Dark Souls games. I'm actually in the middle of replaying Bloodborne because I heard about this one. I'm so easily influenced when it comes to Dark Souls games or anything that inspired Dark Souls. I'm like, yes, tell me more. And so I heard if you like the game Bloodborne, you will absolutely love this book. Here's the cover. So this is a world that's basically set in darkness for vampires. Humans are, I think, pretty much close to or almost wiped out in this. Oh, and I've also heard this is like Interview with a Vampire, which is one of my absolute favorite movies of all time. So I think it's kind of told in an interview style similar to that. Yeah, Bloodborne plus Interview with a Vampire in fantasy in a world where it's mostly vampires. Oh fucking yeah, sign me up. Yeah, these two, Silver Under Nightfall and Empire of the Vampire, like might be like the next reads. I don't know, probably. I'm such a mood reader, but I've been craving like some dark fantasy with vampires. I don't know. Okay, and this was totally an impulse buy. I follow Sydney. This is her favorite fantasy series, and she said it gave her like the similar type of feeling of her younger Sydney playing Skyrim and Bethesda games like Oblivion and stuff like that. And I was like, that was me. I was that kid too. And that book is Malice by John Gwynne, or the Faithful and the Fallen series. I think there's 4 books total. This is book 1. It's pretty chunky. Sydney spoke those words. I was like, I have to get this. I have to know what it's about. I've also seen this everywhere. I know Reagan has also mentioned it too on her channel. I'm really interested in being part of a world like that, and like battle scenes and something more dark, and a great cast of characters, and just an awesome fantasy world with, I don't want to say medieval type of fantasy because I don't know if that's this, but if it's like Skyrim, yes, I would love to read more about that. So that's this. Okay, and the next one it's kind of embarrassing. I mean, again, I'm new to adult fantasy, so I'm giving myself a teeny bit of grace. Like I said, I'm having a bit of FOMO in the adult fantasy world, because I do feel like it's so new to me, and there's so many opinions on what fantasy I should read next, what authors I should peruse. And a name that I kept, you're probably gonna guess who it is, a name I keep hearing about over and over and over again is Brandon Sanderson. So many creators and some of my friends have mentioned that he's written their favorite fantasy series of all time. Most of his books are set in his world that he's created called the Cosmere. And I've watched a few different videos on where to start with Brandon Sanderson in the Cosmere if you're new to his work, or what's the best place to start. That being said, I saw a video that was, it's okay to start with The Way of Kings. And I know the 5th book is supposed to come out at the end of this year. There's no way in hell, absolutely no way, these books are enormous, that I'm going to read the first 4 to get to the 5th one by the end of the year. It's just not going to happen. There's too many books I want to read that are on the smaller side anyway. And I do want to very much read this because I know it is supposed to be really great if you're new to fantasy. It's such a big commitment, but also Brandon Sanderson also released a video, I think like 2 weeks ago, on where to start in the Cosmere, and he recommended starting with his first trilogy, Mistborn. And I think this is much more doable. These books are a lot shorter, a lot of people's favorites of his work. I know the magic system has to do with like metal elements and stuff like that, and people love the main character so much in this, so I'm gonna start here. I'm gonna start with Mistborn, the original trilogy, and then go from there and see if Brando Sando is for me. I think out of all the fantasy books, I'm very, very excited to start such a lauded author. He's such a funny guy. I like watching him talk in his videos. Like, he's such a cool dude who's created like all these cool worlds and the Cosmere, and I'm just, again, like, the FOMO's been getting to me. And okay, so that's fantasy. I think I'll start with horror next because I just love it so much. I just love it, and I got a good stack here. This I thrifted. I'm so excited that I thrifted a hardback of it. This is an author I've not read. It is The House on Needless Street by Katrina Ward. You know, anytime this book comes up, the person talking is like, I don't know how to describe it, it's just really freaked me out. It's really weird. This is really weird. It really scared me. Yeah, I kind of want to go into this blind, so I haven't even read the synopsis. I don't want to. I'm assuming it has to do with a haunted house and some weird shit, so that's that. Next is My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones. I've not read Stephen Graham Jones. The reason I picked this up, I have wanted to read him for a while because a lot of my friends who read a ton of horror like love his work. The main reason I picked this one up first is because the main character is an enormous 80s horror fan, which that's my favorite genre of horror. Mentions of horror movies, that piqued my interest. I'm like, well, what they talk about? What slashers were talked about? So I'm excited about this because I just love talking 80s horror. I love talking horror. I love when books kind of dive into the genre, not just books, but movies and TV shows too that talk about that. I just love discussing it. I'm excited to be in another massive 80s horror fan's head. Next are 2 books from an author that I read last year that I absolutely loved, and I said I wanted to read more of her work, so I got 2 of her books for Christmas. I have The Hollow Places by T. Kingfisher and The Twisted One. Both are horror. Both I have no idea what they're about. I know The Twisted Ones I think is supposed to be really freaky. It's about a woman who goes to clean out her dead grandmother's house, and she discovers a journal and some weird stuff in the house, and it just gets really weird and creepy. So That's the Twisted Ones. And then this one is supposed to be about this woman who goes to her alien uncle's house and finds a doorway that goes to Hollow Place or whatever. I'm assuming a freaky deaky world. So again, I love T. Kingfisher. Really love What Moves the Dead, and I love the humor in that too. At least I'm hoping there'll be more like dark humor in these books. So I'm excited. And this was a book I got for Christmas. I think this is under young adult. This is I Feed Her to the Beast and the Beast is Me by Jamison Shea. This one I was really glad I was gifted because I don't know if I would pick it up. Anyway, just because I kind of go back and forth on young adult now, whether or not it's for me anymore, because I like higher stakes. I like darker stuff. This is about a ballerina in France with dark magic, and like their catacombs are involved, and the cover is really pretty. And this one I saw Brandon Baker mention. It's the Between by Tanana Reeve-Du. The cover. I think this is her debut book. I know The Reformatory is what everyone talks about, and I do want to get to that soon. Again, I need to stop. I want to use my library. I need to use my library. I have a library card. This is about a main character named Hilton, who as a boy, he almost drowned and was saved by his grandmother, who unfortunately passed in the process of saving him from drowning. Now as an adult, he's married. His wife is a judge. He's the only elected African-American judge in Dade County, Florida, and has begun receiving hate mail from a man she once prosecuted. And Hilton's sleep is plagued by nightmares more horrible than he's ever experienced. As he battles both the psychotic stalking of his family and the unseen enemy that haunts his sleep, Hilton's sense of reality is slipping away, shocking and utterly convincing. The Between is a novel about a man desperately trying to hold on to the people in his life he loves, but may have already been lost. I'm really drawn to horror books that you're not sure if the main character's going crazy or if there's some outside force that is pushing them in that direction or making them feel that way, and I've heard this is really dark. So yeah, thanks Brandon. Last one I picked up because I just thought it was fun. Paperbacks from Hell by Grady Hendrix. An anthology collection talking about the history of horror from the 70s and 80s. Novels. The history of horror novels from the 70s and 80s. It has a lot of just like crazy, like I don't know if you can see that well. The book's like all these crazy kooky covers, and it has like just like spreads talking about the books or like what was going on at the time in the world when these books were being released. It's broken out by sections, like creepy kids and like when animals attack, and there's paranormal and gothic. I've been flipping through this and just reading a few pages at a time, and it's just been like really fun to just lightly check in on every now and then. I love art and I love history with horror, so this is like right up my alley. I think I plan to do a vlog at some point picking a few books out of this and reading them, because some of them just sound absolutely cuckoo crazy. Yeah, that's my horror haul. Next is romance, and I don't know if you saw my previous vlog. This is not something I normally read. I kind of got bit by the romance bug and got quite a few reads that I saw from other creators who have similar taste to mine that I wanted to pick up and see, because yeah, why not have some more love in my life? First one I'm actually about 40 pages into. It's Get a Life, Chloe Brown. This is book one of the Brown sisters. This follows Chloe Brown, who I think is the middle sister, and she's chronically ill and she has a lot of trouble letting loose and not living her life by set standards that she sets for herself. Has a near-death experience and like has this list of things she wants to accomplish. Enjoy a drunken night out, ride a motorcycle, go camping, have meaningless but thoroughly enjoyable sex, travel the world with nothing but hand luggage, and do something bad. I don't think it's that easy for her. It has to do with like close proximity too, which is a trope I found out I do like. With her building super, his name's Red. He's a handyman with tattoos and a motorcycle. And yeah, they're cute little illustration. Oh my god. Cat too. It's just really cute so far. So that's that. It wouldn't be a book for me if it wasn't somewhat dark. So I do have a dark romance in here, and that is Butcher and Blackbird by Bryn Weaver. I don't think I've seen a book that has been so ubiquitously loved on the internet as this has been. I've seen it absolutely everywhere. And I've heard like it's just amazing and fun and good. I don't know why I said like I'm surprised. It's about two serial killers. There are two serial killers who kill serial killers. Somebody described it as like Dexter fanfic. Take that as you will, whatever. But I also heard the audiobook is an absolute blast. It is much more superior to reading it, so we'll see. At the beginning of like each part, I think there's I know there's like a playlist for like each chapter or something, which I think is really cool. This just looks like really silly and fun. I saw this recommended. Nick from Books Are Sick. He read The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston and highly recommended it. This has to do with a ghostwriter. Her new editor's dead, and I think she's the only one who can see him. Something like that. I could be wrong. I like glanced over the end, and it's just supposed to be super delightful and funny and kind of have like a magical realism. I could be wrong. I think it's her other book. We'll see. All right, and I had to do it. I had to know what the hype is about. I picked up an I picked up an Emily Henry book, Book Lovers, because I think this is the one that sounded like I would like it the most. A literary agent who goes on vacation, but she keeps bumping into her rival literary agent. And again, close proximity and something like friends to, or enemies to lovers. I don't know, but I thought I would see what all the fuss was about. This I saw recommended on Allison Page's Reading Booktuber's best books, and she really enjoyed it, and I love all of her recommendations. We have very similar tastes. Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez, and I didn't know she's from Minnesota, and her next book that's coming out in a couple months is set in Minnesota, so I think that's really cool. And there's an age gap romance. It just sounds really cute, and there's a baby goat in it. There's a little baby goat in it. Yeah, cool. Yeah, and it has to do with like a city girl and a country guy, or I'm probably really butchering what this is about because I know a lot of people really love this book. So I'm just gonna stop talking until I read it. And the next one, half I bought because of the cover, and the second part is because I heard it was like a flipped take on When Harry Met Sally. You Again by Kate Goldback. This was recommended by quite a few people that I follow. It's about two people, Ari and Josh, who when they first meet they absolutely hate each other because they find out they're dating the same woman. And it starts out as like, I think, true enemies to like kind of friends, complicated friends to lovers maybe. But I think the biggest complaints that I've heard from people, which I don't even know if it's a complaint, it really wouldn't be one for me, is that this is like too real. These are really flawed people. They can't stand these people because they're not perfect and easy to read about, and it's not like instant attraction, which I think is so silly. I would rather read a romance that has like flawed individuals in it than something squeaky clean and clean cut. So that's romance. I don't know how many people I lost during that section of the vlog. Alright, and the last section I have is literary fiction. Alright, the first two are by the same author, Claire Keegan, who wrote Small Things Like These. And I actually read and finished this in one sitting because it's very short, but because I was so wowed by this, I went out and got her other book, which is a short story collection, So Late in the Day, and she is an Irish writer, and I swear to freaking God, like, Irish literature just like stabs me in the heart and just twists it around. If you're watching this, you know who you are, Sally Rooney. What an amazing writer, Claire Keegan. For such a short book, it's so powerful. This is another one I heard from Nick from Books Are Sick. It's a basic story, it's a basic plot, but it's so powerful, so well executed that I want to recommend this to everyone because I loved it so much. Mid-80s in Ireland, a small town in Ireland, very close-knit. It's set during December in the 80s, and a man who delivers coal discovers something one morning that changes his entire perspective of the town he lives in and its residents. That's all I'm going to say. That's all you need to know. And I loved it. I loved it. It's already going to be one of my favorite books of the year. So I immediately had to read this. It follows just a bunch of different people and their different professions and their lives, and yeah, that's all it's about. So I'll find out more, I guess. Next is a Christmas gift, and I've never read this. I've never seen the movie. Breakfast at Tiffany's by Truman Capote. The little I know about the movie, and Holly Golightly, and she's really difficult, and there's a romance at some point. That's all I know. This is one of my 1001 books to read before you die. So I will probably get to this year because I am very much lacking in checking off books on that list. And this is a new release that I just picked up, Interesting Facts About Space by Emily Austin. I have not read her first book, Everyone in This Room Will Soon Be Dead. This is supposed to be like super funny and weird, about weird girls. And it's like, I think I picked it up because like the first page is like she's listening to a true crime podcast while she's getting groceries checked out in the checkout line. God, it's me. This is about Enid, who she's obsessed with space, and she'll tell you anything about black holes. She has a bunch of phobias, and I know Baldwin is one of them. Like, super fast paced and has to do with like her dating woes and dating women. And I think her dad just died, and she's just dealing with a lot. And I was kind of hooked by just reading the first page, so I'm probably going to get to this one very soon. Next is one you've probably seen this everywhere. I know I have, and my curiosity got the best of me, and it is Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. And I know this is like more of a magical realism literary fiction where this cafe allows you to travel back or travel to a certain point in time, but you have to be back before the coffee gets cold. And I think that concept is just really great. And it's a very short book. The next two are books I was given for Christmas. It's The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store by James McBride and Pineapple Street by Jenny Jackson. This one just has to do, I think, with a community in Pennsylvania in the 70s. There are the remains of a skeleton found and how it's just kind of affecting the community. I wanted to get to this one this month, but it just didn't happen. And again, I'm in the middle of reading an 850-page book, and that's like, I'm really trying to finish that. But I do want to get to this one soon. I've not read James McBride before, and this won the National Book Award, so I'm very curious about this one. And then Pineapple Street is just about a rich family and their problems, I think. It's supposed to be really funny. The cover is really nice. I will say this, literary fiction has not been a top pick in the last year and a half. It just really hasn't. I think I've read so much of it in years before that I've kind of gotten a little bored of the genre. I hate saying that because all these books sound so interesting. I've just also been let down a lot by picking up a lot of more literary fiction, so I'm hoping these will steer me somewhat back to the genre, but I'm more excited about my fantasy and horror reads than I am about literary fiction at the moment. Anyway, there's two more books left. This is Bright Young Woman by Jessica Knoll. I asked for this for Christmas. I think this is loosely inspired by the Ted Bundy case and the women involved in that case, but I think it's handled in a more victim-focused way, or the women are more of the focus than he is, or the defendant, I think he's called in this, which is so great and so needed. Yeah, I've seen mixed commentary on this. I'm excited to see what it's about for myself and to give an opinion to you all. And the last book is actually my book club read for March. It's Banded Queens by Tarani Shroff. This is about a woman whose husband disappears, and everyone in the community thinks that she had something to do with it. She doesn't correct anyone, and then all women start coming to her to help them with their husbands. And yeah, this sounds so great. I'm really excited that this is a book club read for me. I know Allie on Allison Pages spoke so highly of this, and it just sounds like right up my alley. The cover's great. Alright, so that's the haul. We made it. We made it to the end. It's a very big haul. I would love to know if you have read any of these books, if you recommend any of these books, or any of these on your TBR. Which ones are you most excited to get to if you haven't read them already? I would love to know. Yeah, thank you so much for hanging out with me for a while I talk about all these books that will hopefully stop me from buying more books. At least my fantasy stack, I know, will stop me from buying more fantasy series or the starts of more fantasy series. I want to focus on the series that I talked about. Yeah, as always, thank you for clicking, thank you for watching, and I'll have more videos for you soon. Bye!